Hello, friends. Pastor Zack here. and with a little devotional connection series, I'm going to be in Luke chapter 17. And I always love the book of Luke because every time I go through it, I find so many rich stories in it. And Luke 17 is particularly one that stood out to me. So the next couple of devotionals are going to be covering just a mini series through 3 different sections of Luke 17. So the first one is Luke 17, verses 1 through 4. And in it, Jesus says to his disciples in verse 1, temptations to sin are sure to come. It's going to happen. But woe to the one through whom they come. It's interesting. Jesus says temptation's going to come. It's impossible for it not to. It's happening. But this is a warning to the one through whom they come. It's almost like he's saying it's going to happen, but it would be much better if it didn't happen through you. Oftentimes we think of sin as something that's outside of ourselves or internal to ourselves, but never involving, ourselves causing other people to sin. It's always other people causing us to sin. I don't think we often think about us causing other people to sin. Jesus says it would be easier for this person who causes others to sin, if a millstone were hung around their neck and they were cast into the sea, than that he should cause one of these little ones, pointing to the little children, to sin. So he says, pay attention to yourselves. If your brother sins, rebuke him, and if he repents, forgive him. And if he sins against you 7 times in a day, and turns to you 7 times saying, I repent, you must forgive him. Now, a quick note, I don't know if little ones is necessarily referring to little kids or young in the faith. Maybe it's both and type situation. But here's what I noticed as I continued to study through this passage. One of the ways we pay attention to our spiritual condition, I believe, is by being aware of how we treat other people. Those who are struggling spiritually, being our brother's keeper, and by those who wrong us, by forgiving those who come to us repenting. So it's really interesting. Jesus could have just said, he could have picked so many different illustrations for us not to lead other people into sin, right? But instead, the 2 examples that he chooses are being our brother's keeper, looking out for those who are struggling spiritually, reaching out to them, encouraging them, challenging them. And secondly, those who wrong us by forgiving them. It's really interesting. In those 2 ways in which we do not act accordingly, we can actually cause people to fall into sin. So it's a rather interesting situation. Jesus said in Matthew 7:20, you will know them by their fruits. So here's what I want to say. It's by the fruit of our interactions with others we shall be able to pay attention to ourselves or know ourselves. So Jesus says, pay attention. So one of the ways we do pay attention to ourselves, or one of the ways we monitor in which, not being a person through whom sin comes, is by how we, in fact, treat other people. Not isolate ourselves from them, not have no interaction from them, but monitor how we treat them. Jesus is basically saying how we treat others, either those who are struggling spiritually and those who have wronged us spiritually, is an indication of our own spiritual condition. So, this is just something to reflect on today. How are you treating those around you who are either struggling spiritually? Are you leading with mercy, kindness, generosity? Are you being a brother or sister's keeper, looking out for them? Or are you simply neglecting them? That's them. They're not my responsibility. Good luck. Or are there those in the community who maybe have wronged you, who have done some harm against you? And you hold on just a little bit to a little animosity, to a little just to desserts, to a little, I don't have to forgive you type of mentality. Jesus calls us to forgive that person, even If he comes to us 7 times saying, I repent, you must forgive him. So let's just keep that in mind. One of the ways we pay attention to ourselves, one of the ways we pay attention to our own spiritual condition, is by acknowledging how we interact with others in our community. That is our spiritual gauge. It's not how are we performing, or what are we accomplishing, or what great things are we doing. It all has to do with how we're interacting with one another. Be blessed, friends.